never considered myself a superstitious person. I always thought these types of things were hoaxes or make-believe. Things meant only to scare you. Break a mirror and you get 7 years of bad luck. Hang a rabbit's foot on your car's rearview mirror for good luck. Whistling inside your home is bad luck, as is opening an umbrella indoors. Hanging a horseshoe with the ends pointing up will bring you good fortune and prosperity, as well as keep evil away from your home. Failing to respond to chain letters means you'll die in 7 years. Hearing an owl hooting in the night means someone in the area will die in a very short period. There are other examples like this, but you get the gist of it. I don't believe in any of it, until a black cat crossed my path. In these parts of the world, that is considered an omen of death. I looked at the cat passing before me. She stopped and stared at me too, to which point she ran in the street. At the same time the cat got hit by a car, a tree fell merely a few feet in front of me. I got scared. I imagined that tree crushing my whole body under its enormous weight, and the way blood would have flown on the street, coloring in a dark hue of crimson. I immediately thought that if I hadn't seen that cat and stopped, I'd be dead. I was sad too, because the cat got hit by a car and was probably dead on the side of the road. I quickly snapped out of it and ran to it. I saw it was a female. She stood up, dusted herself off, and tried to walk. She collapsed under her own weight when she started limping. She had problems with her left front paw. I wanted to help her, so I took out a bit of chicken breast from my sandwich and gave her to eat. I added some water too in a small plastic container I had in my backpack. She looked at me with scared eyes, reluctant to eat and drink. I tried to tell her it's okay, that I wasn't going to hurt her. After a few moments of me trying to reassure her that everything will be alright, she crouched and I petted her a little. "It's okay now, little fella. I'll take you to the vet and everything will be alright. Don't worry," I told her while I gently wrapped her in my t-shirt. I got home and put her on the passenger seat. She was shivering and very scared. The shock was still fresh and probably she didn't even have a clue what was going on. The vet was a friend of mine and he took care of her really well. He patched her broken paw up and I took her back to my house. I looked after her days on end. Always made sure she had food and water when I was out at work. I even made her a little playing spot in my backyard. I named her Lucy. We started getting along pretty good, and so I decided to keep her. Weeks passed by and she filled the house with warmth and joy. Then, things started to change. She was always watching me oddly from on top of the furniture, or just staring at me, like something was wrong with me. Then, one night, I woke up to the sound of a voice calling my name. Lucy stood in front of my bedroom door. "Can you hear me, Finn?" the voice asked. I asked if someone was inside my house. I trembled with fear, an ever-growing ball of horror rolling from the top of my existence mountain and towards me. It grew bigger and its ultimate goal was to crush me. My heart started drumming inside my chest. I was afraid the bones of my ribcage will break and let it out. I was afraid the bones of my ribcage will break and let it out. I felt scared. All this time Lucy didn't move. She just kept her left paw up. "Look here, look at me," the voice said. "It's me, Lucy." I screamed when I looked back at my cat and saw that a third eye was just blinking vertically in the center of her forehead. It was different than the other eyes. Those were a deep, dark, never-ending abyss, while this new one was a colored crimson hue. It was mesmerizing to look at, almost magical. "Compose yourself, Finn. We're going on a journey together. I want to show you something," Lucy said. But she was talking inside my mind, in my head. My brain couldn't wrap itself around this insanity. "Now that I got your attention, I'm going to need you to open the bedroom door, Finn," she instructed me. "You can talk to me this way. That's all right." How is this even possible? Is this a dream? A hallucination? Have I gone completely out of my mind? I asked without saying a word. Lucy looked at me, then she hissed. I opened the door to see a tall grass field in front of me. I was positive that my mind was starting to rot away, to decay into the hourglass of time, gone forever as the snowflakes under the white winter sun. In the middle of the field, a huge stone pyramid stood tall. It cast a long and smoky shadow in front of the entrance. The temple door was decorated with the large head of a cat, carved in the stone structure. Its regular eyes were two shiny obsidian stones, while the third one was a dark blood-red ruby. They moved around so very often, like they were scanning the surroundings, this new world I was in. Lucy opened her third eye and a ray of red light beamed from within, instantly connecting with the one from the pyramid. The temple door opened and I stepped inside, alongside Lucy. "What is this place?" I asked. "This is my home, Finn. This is where beings like me live. You were my savior that day. You cared for me. You nurtured me. I want to give you a gift," Lucy replied. "You saved me first, Lucy," I told her. "I think that would have been enough." She meowed. In the center of the stone room, there was a large metal throne. I heard squishing sounds, flesh moving on the bones from behind it. The throne was facing the wall, so I couldn't see at first what or who was sitting on it. "Who is this?" the voice asked. Lucy replied that I was a human who saved her life, Finn. The throne turned around and that's when an unknown horror struck my whole being. In front of me stood a being with the head of a cat and the body of a woman. I thought it was a goddess or an empress, the ruler of that place. Like one of the mythological beings you read about or see in a movie. Like Lucy, she had 3 eyes as well. She held a golden scepter in her right hand. She was enshrouded in a red halo that gleamed brightly. She rose from her throne and started taking steps towards me. I began shivering, the hair on my arms rising instantaneously. Fear was pulsating inside my veins and I felt like my blood was boiling hot. I suddenly realized that this whole experience almost shattered my soul into a million tiny shards. She began speaking, her voice cracking and squishing at the same time. "I am Chimera, the eternal goddess of afterlife. Kneel before," she ordered me. I began quivering and I followed suit. Am I dead?" I asked, sobbing. "You were supposed to be. Luckily, you got distracted by her and you were not crushed by the falling tree," she continued, her voice a cacophony of breaking glass and squishy flesh. I rose my head from the ground. My heart was already in my throat. "You saved her life, you cared, you did not walk away. You took her into your home. You gave her shelter, a place to sleep, food, and water. You kept one of my kind safe," she continued. She then told me that sometimes beings from her race, or cats as we humans call them, are being sent to those who are about to die. They were mistakenly attributed the omen of death mark throughout history. They were not that. The cat crossing your path was sent there to help you pass away peacefully. The magic cat would help you carry you to the afterlife. She would facilitate the process of getting used to life after death. Sometimes mistakes would happen. Sometimes pure luck would interfere and fate would be on the human side. That was my case. Lucky Finn. Even with this new knowledge that was bestowed upon me, I was in shock. Fear filled my heart and this revelation taught me that there were things that existed beyond our understanding. "I would like to give you a gift for bringing our beloved Lucy home," Chimera said. She asked me if I wanted to know how I would die. How was that supposed to be a gift? I stood speechless in front of her. Lucy didn't say anything, she just looked at me, curiously so. I understood that she won't help me making this easier. This was my decision to make. Did I even really wanted to know the exact moment and the way I would die? Or should I let it all fade away and what will be will be? For all I knew, I might have died the next day. I might have suffered a horrible and violent death. I imagined being run over by a car or falling off a building, my bones cracking and laying in a pool of blood with my intestines hanging out. The thought shattered me, but I wanted to know. I wanted to know if I had just a little time left. I wanted to know how I would die so I could make the most of it. I told her that I was ready. I told her I needed to know. She opened her third eye, and a ray of light jumped on the wall behind me. A video started playing like it was projected from Chimera's mind. I began watching it. The video showed 2 couples. One was older, the other one much younger. They were surrounded by several children. They were happy, laughing, living life to the fullest. There were cats and dogs in the background. They were meowing and barking. They were happy too. The video jumped forward. All the adults were older now. The children grew up to be beautiful young men and women. They even had jobs now. They had babies too. I assumed the older people were great-grandparents, the other ones were grandparents. The little kids from the beginning of the video were happy parents now. What a beautiful celebration of life. The video moved on. Now there was only the great-grandpa. The great-grandma was missing. Everyone else remained the same. In the final section of the video, the great-grandpa was gone too. The rest were still alive. The ending showed the two tombstones, my wife's and mine. My wife would die 1 year before me. I'd die aged 97. I began crying. I was so afraid and so happy at the same time. I will die of old age? I asked. Chimera smiled. Yes, you will. Time to go home now, young Finn. I gave Lucy a final hug and she accidentally scratched me. I exited the temple and saw the door to my bedroom was open. Before leaving, I waved them both goodbye. Thank you, Finn. You go now and live a happy and beautiful life. Lucy's voice resonated in my mind. I sobbed and went through. I didn't sleep for the remainder of the night. I stayed on the side of my bed until morning. I looked at the scratch Lucy made and really wanted it to become a permanent scar. That way I'd have something left from her, a beautiful memory. The sun spilled its rays in my room. I drove straight to the cat shelter. I looked for a black one and I adopted it. I named her Lucy.